Before I begin this continuation of the patch notes, it's very important to note that in Hotfix 25.7.1, companion Riven mods were removed from Samaras' offerings after they were added in 25.7. But as of 25.7.2, they have returned, and you can pick them up by going to Samaras in any relay, going to his offerings, and you can pick up a Veiled Companion Riven mod for 100,000 standing. And you can get an Artax Riven from the Unveiling. It's also important to note that they are not a part of the Riven pool from Swordies and other areas. They are exclusive to Samaras. But I will be going into the 2 hotfixes at the end of the video, as for now we continue the patch notes for 25.7 from yesterday's video. The new Strange quest has got some UI improvements as well as quest step improvements. There is now a marker after talking to Samaras that guides players back to their Lisette. A marker has been added to all nodes on Mars where Arid Lancer targets can be found, and markers plus hint text has been added that presents players the option to run the synthesis tutorial and to obtain traps and scanners. 2 objectives, those being return to Samaras and return to the Orbiter, have been added to the 5th stage of the quest. They updated the wording on the Arid Lancer synthesis stage and changed the return to Orbiter marker to an extraction marker. On Lure Spy missions, destroyable loot crates have a shiny overlay, glass has been made more transparent, door materials have been updated to be consistent with other updated doors, and they have slowed the music puzzle to reduce difficulty. For Nightwave, acts that require the completion of quests are now locked until you complete the quest, and now indicate what quest unlocks the act to avoid spoilers. The 3 that have been changed were the Fear the Reaper, which is tied to the War Within, Ascendant, which is tied to the Second Dream, and Grove Guardian, tied to the Silver Grove. Catch-up acts will now appear once you have less than 3 current weekly acts left to complete. They updated the number format of act progress and requirements, and they also fixed overlapping Nightwave UI after viewing an item diorama, flickering issues with orange screens in episode 3 of Nightwave Series 2, broken Nightwave UI when skipping through multiple episodic cinematics, the Trinity Aura helmet blueprint appearing twice in the Nightwave cred offerings, and Nora Knight's transmissions appearing when loading between Nightwave episodes. For general changes, they made improvements towards AI pathfinding in the Grenier Sea Lab tileset across missions, AI maneuvering in the Grenier Forest defense tileset, AI orientation in the Gas City tileset to fix enemies facing the wrong direction, and they made improvements towards defection AI maneuvering in the Infested Corpus ship tileset. They've tweaked the Redeemer and Redeemer Prime's equipped position so it sits more in the Warframe's hand. They reduced the status effect light effect intensity further to compensate for stacking procs. If you freeze enemies with things like Frost, Atlas, and Gara's abilities, you can now immediately apply other status effects. They removed the Retired Deception game mode from the Codex missions page, Captura scenes can now be linked in chat, Revenant now holds the Tatsu instead of the Galatine in his in-game market diorama, they updated the Interception HUD style to provide clearer information when a tower is being captured by you or enemies, they updated the following Warframe ability descriptions to better explain the ability. Equinox's Mend and Maim now reads, in night form, allies' shields are replenished with each nearby enemy kill. In day form, enemies are inflicted with a bleed status effect. Deactivate to cast a wave of slashing force or restore health and shields to Equinox and allies in night form. Avaris Navigator now says assume control of any projectile launched by Avara and guide it to a target. And Nidus's Parasitic Link now states, bind to target with Parasitic Link. When cast on an ally, both the host and Nidus have their ability strength increased. Linked enemies take some of the damage inflicted on Nidus. They adjusted some of the PBR materials on Mars, Jupiter, and Venus in the navigation skybox, converted materials on some of the Grenier Forest trees to PBR. The platinum cost of unowned items now displays the item grid when browsing unowned color palettes in the arsenal, UI customizations, and more. They made minor disruption UI polishes and size changes. They polished UI and marker flow for Venus ambush bounties and slightly adjusted console materials and placement for the polish. Zephyr's Tailwind will now terminate early if you fly into a wall or something similar. Defense and excavation enemy count scaling now increases alongside enemy level. The higher the enemy level, the more enemies spawn. They updated and fixed animations related to the Quatz's blip when reloading and firing. adjusted color channels on the Galvanic armor set, AM4 Cyan and Kavat and Fix armor, and Kubrau and Fats armor. They rearranged color channel layout on the Provoc shoulder guard to match other pieces, reduced the brightness of the incubator light source to better represent the lighting of your companions in mission, and improved lava textures in the Grenier asteroid tile set. They have standardized Titania's tribute buffs to have a base range of 35 meters and duration of 120 seconds. They have updated the icon for miscellaneous syndicates in the syndicate screen to match other miscellaneous categories. They've reduced Foundry rush cost from 25 platinum to 5 platinum for detonite injectors, field drones, and mutagen mass. And they converted materials to PBR on the following items: the Gracada Dracoon, Ignis, Mida, Sobek, Volcar, Karak, Grinlock, Furax, Hein, Worm, Paracarrier Skin, Shade, Shade Sprite Skin, Jin, Death Cube Forest Camo Skin, Death Cube Caribus Skin, the Capsule Sentinel Mask, Mandible Sentinel Mask, Thorax Sentinel Tail, Crystallis Sentinel Wings, Jet Sentinel Wings, Kubrau Sentinel Wings, Lotus Sentinel Mask, Mechhead Sentinel Mask, the Para Sentinel Mask, Tail and Wings, the Cargro Sugatra, Bratton Forest Camo Skin, Dragon Nakana Sheath, Solaris Data Mass, and the Animo Nav Beacons. They have reduced the particle effects on the Fluctus's projectiles, adjusted appearance of Volt's transistor shield to make it clearer that squad mates can pick it up. The loadout menu can now be accessed by clicking on the loadout name in the arsenal above your items, as DE has removed the loadout options tab. They have also updated relay door materials to be consistent with other updated doors. New players can now only join defense missions until the second wave, instead of the fourth wave, to guarantee enough time to collect a reactant during Void Fissure missions. Derelict survival missions no longer have electrified water to prevent enemies from slowing down to jump over it. Previewing an operator cosmetic in the market will now show the item as it should appear on the player's operator. They updated the Loki Incubus skin and helmet default accent colors from gold to blue. They better optimized pathing for the Plague Star drone for the next rerun, improved collision on Jupiter tile sets, which makes traversal smoother. They removed the invisible walls from the stairs on the Saturn Rescue tile set. Players and allies have invulnerability until the loading screen goes away to prevent players from dying while in the loading screen due to poor connection. They've reduced the light intensity of the Arcoplasmor, changed the Darjan Bow Riven challenge description to be more specific that it must be Darjans in flight and not the ones parked on the ground. And mod descriptions are now included when searching in the mod trading screen, which means searching Toxin will display for Fever Strike, and so on. They have tweaked an unattractive light in the Relay Steel Meridian Syndicate room, increased the range of the Infested Impedance mod from 8 meters to 16, reduced bloom in certain Orb Vallis caves that impede successful fishing. Kite Arachnoids and Coolant Arachnoids are now resistant to abilities rather than being immune, but they still have immunity to Limbo Stasis and Mag Pull. Slash, Bleed, and Toxin Poison status effects will bypass shields on the Kite Arachnoid. Hyena Corpus proxies on the Orb Vallis are now fully affected by status effects. Enemies that are pinned to a projectile are now released if that projectile punctures through an object, and to keep in line with existing limitations, the first ghoul bounty is restricted to Mastery Rank 1, and other ghoul bounties are restricted to Mastery Rank 3. Now we go to Hotfix 25.7.1 changes, where they tweaked lighting and exposure in the orbiter to alleviate reports of overly bright metal, and they removed the unintentional railjack bindings which were in the control options. And in Hotfix 25.7.2, they added unique open and closed sounds for the Nalumbo Shorzan, and the Aseltra can now equip the Rifle Ammo Mutation mod. This hotfix also fixed a crash when in the dojo, a crash if you lost connection to the server and tried to access your profile at the same time, a rare crash when transitioning between zones in Sanctuary Onslaught, a potential fix for a UI lockup when leaving squad setting up for the index. They fixed spamming look links too quickly to chat, locking up your UI. Edge cases of UI lockup when accessing the Leverian from a place outside of the market or codex. The Zealot Herald's Torrid effects perpetually lingering, thus affecting performance. Acarius effect particles perpetually lingering. A script error that could result if you left a mission when an infested runner was charging at you. A script error when casting Gauss's kinetic plating ability. Hotfix 25.7.2.1 reverted the addition of unique open and closed sounds from the previous hotfix due to it causing crashes and breaking squad mates' UIs. They also improved handling of corrupt shaded caches to fix some crashes. Now we go to the very long list of fixes across update 25.7, hotfix 25.7.1, and 25.7.2. So let us begin. Controller fixes. They fixed a loss of functionality when using a controller and spamming Y as the round timer runs out in endless missions, an issue with being unable to scroll through a bundle's items in the in-game market after selecting an item to view it and returning to the bundle when using a controller. Energy color for secondary weapons only appearing after they have been selected versus showing up in preview when using a controller, viewing a syndicate in the syndicate panel on the orbiter while using a controller only having partial functionality for the right stick, and they also fixed missing button callouts for toggling the Somacord's autoplay when using a controller. Now for the main fixes. They fixed an inability to deploy your arc gun during the Profit Taker fight when you used all your arc gun ammo and then attempted to use your arc gun again after the recharge timer had expired. Loss of functionality when the disabling animation for exalted abilities is interrupted. Friendly Mine Osprey drones from Necros' Shadows of the Dead, causing a progression stopper in the gas city with kill all remaining enemy missions due to the drone not timing out and not taking allied damage, which also fixes the same progression stopper in the gas city defense missions due to an inability to end the wave. They fixed Wisp's moat buff having an infinite duration for clients if they transfer to the operator, leaving the Warframe in range of the moats and then transfer back. And they fixed a long-standing bug turn exploit with Avara's noise arrow. DE did explain the fix and the exploit further, saying, "We'd like to explain in detail so you can understand why we have chosen to fix it now. The old bug is as followed. Enemies who are attracted to Avara's noise arrow never regain intelligence if Avara is invisible. This fix allows them to finish their investigation of the noise and thus regain some form of intelligence. This was exploitable in conjunction with the way that interception missions work and has been in the game for quite a long time on our end." Now, they also fixed a long-standing issue where clans were unable to destroy their Orokin labs if it was created for a solar rail back in the day. Destroying the room will now cancel any pending research tied to it and refund any resources contributed to the vault. The K-drive disappearing if riding it from the plains into the Cetus doorway, which also fixes sometimes being left without the use of abilities. Kit guns having a placeholder text when attempting to pick it up after being disarmed by a Drak Master. Larkspur beams lagging behind when flying in Arcwing, the effect on the edge of the war fading out very quickly if the Mara Detron is equipped, a host migration in any rescue mission before the players locate or free a hostage, which resulted in the remaining players having a broken UI. Some flat lighting when talking to Nakak in Cetus, numerous Cyandanas clipping through Wisp's cape, the arc gun deployer ammo pickup UI appearing in whatever language the host is playing in, sheathed weapons not taking elemental colors when default energy color are used. They fixed incoming fire interrupting gunblade charge attacks, the blind justice custom idle not playing when equipped, Lewis spy vault markers sometimes displaying differently between host and clients, a small ceiling hole in the Corpus Gas City tile set, lingering explosion effects on failed coil drive ambush bounties in the Orvalis, being unable to hit specific body parts with Wisp's Soul Gate, broken water effects and reflections in the Void tile set, the Domus Cyandana not connecting properly to Korra's back, small map holes under the elevator to Fortuna on the Orvalis, various older Prime accessory cosmetics not being linkable in chat, an additional stream of bullet effects shooting from the Quatz's grip when a pistol skin is equipped, Nezha's blazing chakram ability counting towards fire accuracy stats, Lisette doors sometimes disappearing when viewed at certain camera angles, being able to jump into junction ceilings during the Spectre fights, and they fixed switching between Warframes in the arsenal and then previewing unpurchased cosmetics via the arsenal, resulting in the market preview showing the original Warframe you had equipped and not the current one. They fixed Mesa using her primary weapon in Bleed Out if it was the last weapon equipped before being downed with a Peacemaker active, previewing Kubrau armor in the market with a Kavat active resulting in the default preview Kubrau's fur clipping through the armor. They fixed I-10 treasure UI and animations not updating in real time as stars are installed in the I-10's treasure menu. Devotee models disappearing after viewing his codex entry for a few minutes. Amphat's Kubrau armor clipping into bulkier Kubraus. Textures on leg plates of the Amphat's Kubrau armor stretching during the idle animations. Fullman mode swap animations not playing when used in Arcwing over the planes of Eidolon or the Orb Valis. Garuda's talons not using the proper textures for clones with the Garuda successor skin, the gift of the Lotus alerts not showing the mission's level range. They fixed the braid on the back of Valkyr's Leonosa helmet clipping through her head, Titania being spawned inside the ground sometimes when scoring in the index while in Razorwing, offset flickering for Korra Spike Syandana, Quatz's clip disappearing if you interrupted reload at just the right time, Warframe ability tips not appearing in the ability screen for those playing in Korean and Russia, operator expressions not working when playing in Russian and Korean, performance issues when opening the inventory on an account that has a lot of items, players watching two Warframes attempt a handshake in Relay Cetus and Fortuna not actually seeing it happen, a loss of functionality when cancelling reload and changing the firing mode with rifles, incorrect prompt text in Vor's prize when attempting to hack the console, missing translations for some of the Dog Days rewards and items from Nikak's offerings during the event, no mining deposits appearing after returning from Deck 12 even though the mining tool is beeping and showing that there are deposits nearby. The Huntress bundle diorama in the market displaying Nova instead of Ivara, Wukong holding the wrong stuff in the market dioramas for Wukong's Deluxe Skin Collection and Deluxe Skin Showcase, the Subhuti Syandana clipping through some Warframe's legs, Captain Vor not reacting when taking damage from a silent weapon, the Narvar Prime shoulder armor clipping through Mirage Prime shoulder plates, shotgun shells floating if the current's reload was interrupted. They fixed the watch all option in the Wolf of Saturn 6, only playing the first three dioramas, the Orthos and Orthos Prime changing sizes randomly when cycling through skin options for it. They fixed the Ghouls, Rattle, and Wolf of Saturn 6 targeting your Sentinel when it and you are both invisible. They fixed issues with being unable to swap back to primary weapons if the auto swap on empty option is enabled and the weapon runs out of ammo. The Meteor Whip skin only listing the Lecter as a compatible whip. Iron Staff energy drain not occurring when cast with Defy after emptying ammo from the only weapon equipped. They fixed being able to clip through a certain wall in the Corpus Outpost tile set, an issue with lunar pitches not spawning in certain areas in the Orican Moon tile set, being able to spawn and capture plains conservation animals into the simulacrum, scanning plains conservation animals not always counting towards their codex entry, light ray meshes being too opaque and appearing blocky in the Corpus Outpost tile set, an issue with the pistol hip aim poses that made the gun arm travel left and right a lot more than intended. Many Syandanas, including the Rapala Syandana reverting back to their default colors after dying, the Wukong Subhuti skin's shoulder armor not appearing when previewing in the arsenal. They fixed some ugly textures stretching on the Wukong Samadhi Iron Staff skin in the in-game market, being able to stack the sniper zoom bonuses beyond its intended multiplier by meleeing when zooming and then transferring to operator repeatedly. A destroyed galleon appearing in Saturn's skybox when it should be whole, the Narvar Prime shoulder armor clipping through Excalibur Umbra, extremely shiny textures on the extraction point orbiter docks, several areas around the orbiter not having any collision for the roller floofs from the Dog Days tactical alert, selecting Sugatras you do not own in the arsenal, defaulting the melee weapon to its default skin if you have a skin equipped, a missing map boundary ring during the Orvalis excavation bounty, allowing players to fail the mission without even realizing it until it's too late, the Galaxian festive skin missing its jolly green glowy lights when equipped on the Galaxian Vandal, missing explosions from the cannons of a Grenier Galleon in the Koro Kuva Fortress Assault mission, the Magnolia Tree decoration base disappearing if players on low quality settings are walking too far away from it, being able to collide with Kubraus and Kavats in the orbiter, certain NPCs in the relays popping out of existence at certain camera angles, NPC head tracking in the relays going bananas when standing behind them, broken lightings on several doors in the Corpus tile sets, and they also made updates to reflections, coil drives sometimes not arriving to drop off reinforcements in the Orb Valis bounties, grid icons sometimes being offset and leaving a small gap at the bottom in various menu screens, issues with melee infested units being unable to step up and step down in certain areas in the Grenier Galleon tile set to engage players. They fixed issues with Nova escaping certain maps for easy mode defense, a graphics issue with some water texture on Uranus tile sets, polish and flow issues with the Jordas Precept quest on the Use Furliak pod stage, the Pataja Sugatra being unaffected by color channels when equipped on the Nakondi and Nakondi Prime, issues with vents in the Corpus ship spy vaults always being closed, an issue where some market blueprint cost requirements would show the wrong number of available weapons for building, a level hole in the plains of Eidolon, issues with the Isla, Mesa Prime and Pyrosugatra offsets on Banshee Prime, the Jakazar default holster position clip inside the Trinity Strega skin, collision issues with Kuva extractors in Kuva Survival, the Atavis Prime right shoulder plate clipping on the Ash Koga skin, holster issues with the Cronin Prime and numerous Warframes, the Sava harness Syandana clipping on Saren, the quiver of the Daiku clipping inside Nezha, emblems being improperly offset on the Rhino, Blade of the Lotus skin, a flickering issue with the Sapa Day of the Dead skin, fixes towards leg armor clipping with frost, missing icons for certain melee holster positions, Kubrau Amphat's armor not lighting properly in mission, certain relays showing the incorrect planet in their skyboxes, companions being hurt by electrified water in the Orvalis caves, Warframes floating with flat feet with a Wisp agile animation equipped, wave weapons bouncing off of enemies not counting towards its bounce limit, Warframe legs moving incredibly fast with multiple movement speed buffs applied, Baruch taking much longer to deploy specters, wonky transitions to Arcwing from the Kuva Fortress during the War Within quest, they fix being able to use Itzel's blink in submersible levels to swim or fall outside of the map. They reduce clipping of the Silver and Aegis blade with the Danos sword and shield skin equipped. Who cares if that name is right? No one's probably watching by this point. Fixed rescue mission UI sometimes being stuck at locate rescue target regardless of actual rescue progression in mission, landing incorrectly on tiles in the final stage of Octavia's anthem, sometimes resulting in the music note effect appearing faint and hard to see. Mid-wave host migrations in Sanctuary Onslaught resulting in pixelated warframes and enemies until you enter a new portal. Enemies not properly targeting Gara's mass vitrify wall. Operator legs clipping through the smelter apparel. A box appearing around the operator when the infested spore ephemera is equipped during the Chimera quest. Submersible enemies spawning outside of the water in the Grenier Seed Lab tile set. Weapon explosion effects not taking secondary energy colors. Status effects not applying to ragdoll enemies. Cyanex's alt fire not being affected by fire rate mods. The inability to equip the terminal velocity mod on the Comorex. Mirage's Hall of Mirror clones sometimes using their primary fire instead of alt fire for the Corinth and Euphona Prime. Ships in Arcwing pursuit missions flying in all directions except the one it's supposed to be. A level hole in the Grenier settlement tile set. Issues where all custom obstacle course decorations appeared at the center of the room when a player entered the instance to run the course. Floating detached fans on the Jupiter tile set. Foggy looking floor reflections in Metis Jupiter's spy vault. Arbitration statues not being linkable in chat. They've made fixes to prevent art overlapping between Jupiter tile sets and to improve AI navigation. Wonky cloth appearance on some warframes like Equinox Prime, water volumes appearing in incorrect tile sets, Lex Prime not using its proper reload animation, mags magnetized, sometimes not disarming even with over 100% magnetized status effect on burst, Darshan pilots getting trapped in a mounting animation due to attempting to pilot an already taken Darshan, auto-dropping the excavation power cell when picking up primary ammo with only a primary weapon equipped, ability to join another player in a junction if you previously disconnected from their squad, an Iatan sculpture spawning under the floor in the infested Corpus rescue tile set, abusing host migrations to get multiple beacon assassination spawns. Beacons will now be ineligible to place after a host migration if someone has already summoned an assassin previously. They made fixes towards the arbitration shield drone sometimes spawning in an unvisited room, making it feel as if drone doesn't spawn at all. They fixed Ash's Rising Storm combo, building much faster than intended due to an interaction with Relentless combo and a gun blade weapon. They fixed the email lock tooltip appearing even if its email field is unlocked, flash accelerant having incorrect stat text. The Quanta and Quantavangels alt fire cube explosion sound no longer playing. They fixed Sonos Prime equipped with heavy caliber, causing the vertical spread mode to function as a horizontal spread. AI clipping through rocks, thus entering the upside down in the Orokin Moon tile set. Numerous glyphs not appearing in the market when searching for relevant tags. The Spore ephemera rendering over the top of the operator chair. They made fixes for certain beam weapons playing the wrong weapon hit effects when hitting enemies in the head. Baruch's Marrow helmet hassle, sometimes disappearing when viewing his diorama at certain angles. Missing swing trail effects on the Nakana Takulu skin, infested impedance not affecting some infested enemies, incorrect button callouts in the War Within quest when playing with a controller, They fixed reload circle filling instantly for weapons that reload individually instead of filling up individually for each round loaded. They fixed your arc gun unequipping when casting Harrow's throwable ability twice, your arc gun constantly replaying its equip animation after casting Chroma's spectral scream ability twice, Wisp not angling primary weapons when hip firing, your gun appearing to twitch when transitioning from hip fire to aiming. They fix sometimes not switching to your secondary weapon upon being downed, collapsing texture on Loki Prime's helmet, the Tatsu Ground Slam often failing to connect, the Ludoplex diorama appearing to be zoomed in very close, Octavia's mallet causing Resonator to stop moving. They fixed only 2 Nightmare modifiers being chosen at a time across the star chart, another case where the water splash effects would get stuck on your screen in the Grenier C-Lab tile set, the camera just spinning wildly when attempting to move when downed. They fixed browsing Warframe helmets if the active one is a Prime helmet, the preview for the selected ones will overlap the Prime helmet instead of switching to a different one. They fixed a loss of functionality when exiting the cutscene that plays inside the codex when first inspecting the shadowbox inside Visual Quest, clients getting overlapping UI in the index, foundry timers being unreliable for blueprints when playing with a high frame rate, having a negative capacity if you cycle a Riven mod then fuse it with Endo while it is equipped, the Corpus background having an incorrect item, Wukong Celestial twin kills not counting towards Sanctuary Onslaught efficiency, an edge case where player A invites player B to their orbiter, B joins and then returns to their own orbiter, then B goes to player C's orbiter, and if C's orbiter has no decorations, B will see decorations of player A's orbiter. They fixed Grenier Butchers appearing to be unarmed for clients, Orb Valis teleport reinforcement effects not appearing for clients. They made fixes towards enemies pursuing the cold dead corpses of players in excavation missions, client players in the Hydroid relay capture scene seeing one female NPC with proper head textures, decorations with physics, sometimes falling out of the orbiter into the dark cold vastness of space, sometimes seeing duplicate corpses if the enemy died from a slash status effect, Nox and Lephantis targeting invisible sentinels, Til Rigor sometimes endlessly stuck teleporting during his boss fight, not receiving focus affinity after installing a Gravimag, your Lisette being parked sideways in the relay after completing a practice mastery test, the Sidella Prime Syandana spinning ring being slightly offset. They fixed an ability to create 2 mass vitrify walls if a section of the first wall is broken, the inability to complete the Mastery Rank 12 test if you fall off the starting platform, Shield Lancers potentially getting themselves stuck forever before or after attempting to climb ledges, the Terra Shockwave Mower doing more damage if playing with a high FPS, the inability to use the Helmuth Infirmary chair if your domestic drone opened the door for you, a conservation call point spawning outside of the Orb Valis boundaries, your Kubrau head twisting into ungodly positions upon patting it, Amalgam Het clones causing screen flickering when used on Mirage. They fixed an inability to use disabled emotes for operators if the emote wheel is open during transference, Atlas's Titanic Rumbler augment making his rumblers too big to fit through the doors, the Cyanex cancelling the heavy throw animations if your magazine is empty, Til Rigor and his Grenier Mannix not going invisible when jumping around the boss arena, Rachnoid holograms flickering in the Fortuna back room, and the inability to chat link some K-Drive mods. Now in Hotfix 25.7.1, they made the following fixes. Well, there was fixes towards crashing when attempting to play the Prophet Taker fight, a DirectX 10 startup crash, a crash that occurred in the Grenier Settlement tile set, Sumaris's inbox messages missing an icon, and a black textured Corpus door. In 25.7.2, they made the following disruption fixes, where they fixed a progression stopper after round 10 of disruption, where the Demolist Thrasher wouldn't spawn above level 80. They also fixed more potential cases of Demolist enemies not spawning in missions which are lower than their equivalent star chart mission. For rendering changes and fixes, they said the following. The following are just a few tweaks before the long weekend in an attempt to alleviate some graphical oversights from the rendering changes brought in update 25.7. More fixes are definitely coming once the team has regrouped next week. Apologies for premature changes, the excitement got the better of us. So, they made improvements towards metallic chunk textures looking too soft on Warframes. They made fixes towards emissive colors on Warframes not working. They fixed weapon emissive colors to be crushed to near black if the weapon had PBR upgrades, and they made fixes towards bad zoning reflections by tweaking lights, probes, glowing meshes, and redundant cube maps, which fixed many cases of overly saturated areas such as the Jordis Golem exterior boss arena. Now for the overall fixes that came in this hotfix, they fixed aura mods not functioning, some players having their mastery rank recalculated slightly lower than before as a result of moving nodes around in the star chart for disruption expansion, expansion, your camera flipping upside down when activating Ludicrous Gorse Mark Rush speeds with max field of view, the Euphona Prime having incorrect aim accuracy when using the Slug Fire mode, the inability to place Shorzens that you have placed in your orbiter, the Disruption Knock sometimes not attempting to shoot at players, enemies becoming alerted when using a scanner, see-through decorations when building in the dojo, appearing as a mini Warframe when entering and leaving the Laverian as the operator, the inability to transfer out of the operator when entering and leaving Laverian as the operator, the Prime Details toggle not behaving properly for Tenogen skins on the Vault Prime, Teal Rigor and Kayla Dethame turning into a puddle if Oberon's Smite was used during the fight, Vault's electricity effects and Umbra's hail effects appearing as lines instead of lightning beams, clients losing loot into teleport pits, broken animal conservation notes in the Orvalis, and they fixed attempting to change a dojo room description, not saving and instead displaying undefined. And in Hotfix 25.7.2.1, they made the following fixes, which was a fix between wave rewards not popping up when playing Disruption on Mars on Olympus, and they fixed your input swapping to chat if you started a mission with the appearance preview screen active. That is the Hotfix video with the fixes and the changes for 25.7.2 and the subsequent hotfixes